at the priest, but at the strings binding Xeno. The sound of the strings snapping was the most beautiful music Goku had ever heard. Xeno fell from the throne, his small feet hitting the floor with a soft thud that echoed like a thunderclap through every dimension. The golden halo around the king's head shattered. The dullness in his eyes evaporated, replaced by a sudden sharp clarity. The king of all looked at his hands, then at the man of shadows standing before him. Ki Oku? Zeno whispered, the word carrying the weight of 1,000 years of stolen breath. It's okay, said John. Goku rasped, his voice fading, his very outline beginning to blur into the white light of the palace. You're free. The Grand Priest staggered back, his face a ruin of divine horror. Without the strings, without the authority borrowed from the throne, he was nothing more than a ghost in a dying machine. His halo flickered and went out. His skin began to turn to the same gray ash that had once claimed Goku's armor. This is not the design, the priest howled, his body beginning to unravel into geometric fragments. The design was wrong, Goku said, his hand reaching out for the final time. He didn't strike the priest. He simply touched the air in front of him and spoke a single final law. No being may bind another. The Grand Priest didn't die. He was simply removed. The universe forgot him. His name, his decrees, and his very presence were wiped from the ledger of the high heaven. He faded into a mist of forgotten definitions, leaving nothing behind but a silence that was finally truly peaceful. The palace began to tremble. Without the priest's constant artificial maintenance, the high heaven was returning to its natural state, a place of quiet observation, not control. Goku felt the last of his strength leaving him. The dragon seed had finished its work. The last breath was over. He looked toward the rift, seeing the earth, seeing a house on a mountain where the green was returning to the grass, and a woman was looking at the sky. Her heart suddenly fell for a reason she couldn't yet explain. Goku didn't fall, he simply let the light take him. The stars burned quietly that night over Mount Paozu, as if they were remembering a fire they weren't supposed to know. On the porch of the small house, Goku sat in his old orange gi. The obsidian skin was gone. The silver eyes were gone. He looked like a man who had simply taken a very long walk through a very dark forest. His hands were scarred, and his ki felt different, deeper, slower, like the pulse of the planet itself. Chi-Chi sat beside him, her head resting on his shoulder. She didn't ask where he had been. She didn't ask about the gods or the voids or the laws of the heavens. She only knew that the weight was gone. Across the yard, Gohan sat in meditation, his eyes closed. Every now and then, he would look at his father with a strange, lingering awe, as if he could still see the faint, scale-shaped mark on Goku's hand, a mark that the world in any language known to man. High above, in a heaven that no longer had a master, a single sentence remained carved into the foundation of the empty throne room, written in a script that even the angels could not erase. The sky belongs to the one who flies. Zeno visited Earth a few days later. He'd come with guards.
Bye-bye, phone.
He just sat in the grass with Goku and watched the clouds move. For the first time in eternity, the King of All wasn't looking at what he could erase. He was looking at what was there. Goku, Zeno said softly, pointing at a butterfly. Yeah, Zenchan? It's pretty. Goku smiled, leaning back against the cool earth. The dragon seed was silent now, a sleeping part of his soul that would always be there, waiting for the moment the world tried to build another cage. Yeah, Goku whispered, closing his eyes. It really is. The wind stirred the pine needles, and the universe continued its dance, unwritten, unpredictable, and finally, beautifully, alone.
Does your home look like this? What if yours did look more like this? You could now list items you don't.
The hyperbolic time chamber was no longer a room. He sat in the center of the void, his gi tattered and faded to a pale, ghostly orange. The fabric had long since ceased to be clothes. It was just a second skin of dust and memory. He stared at the horizon, searching for a key signature, a flicker of life, anything to prove that the universe outside still existed. There was nothing. The connection to Gohan, to Pan, to Vegeta's daughter, it had all been severed by the priest's barrier. It's quiet. Vegeta, Goku whispered, his voice cracking from disuse. It was the first time he had spoken in a century. Vegeta did not answer. The prince stood 100 yards away, his back turned, his arms crossed so tightly that his fingers dug into his biceps, drawing blood that instantly vaporized in the dry air. Vegeta was vibrating a low, terrifying tremor of suppressed rage. He refused to sit. To sit was to accept was to surrender. And Vegeta would not surrender to a room. He hated the white. It was an insulting color. It was the color of Frieza in his final form. It was the color of the Grand Priest's hair. It was the color of a blank page where his legacy should have been written. Kakarot. Vegeta growled, the name sounding foreign, like a word from a dead language. Get up. If we stop moving, he wins. He already won, didn't he? Goku replied, his eyes not leaving the horizon. The usual spark, the naive, unbreakable optimism that had carried him from the mountains of Earth to the Tournament of Power was dimming. It wasn't despair, exactly. It was something worse. It was realization. We aren't getting out, Vegeta, not by punching. The walls. They aren't made of matter. They're made of divine will. You can't punch a wish. Then I will scream until the wish breaks. Vegeta roared. He exploded. The release of power was catastrophic. Vegeta transformed into Super Saiyan Blue evolved, the royal azure aura tearing through the stillness. He flew upward, aiming not at a wall, but at the ceiling of the dimension, the conceptual sky of the void. He flew until his lungs burned, until the air grew thin, and he unleashed a final flash of such magnitude that it would have incinerated a galaxy. The golden beam struck the ceiling of the dimension. It did nothing. The white void swallowed the energy like a drop of water falling into an ocean. There was no explosion. No feedback. The energy simply ceased to exist. Vegeta fell back to the white tiles, gasping, his hair fading back to black. He struck the ground with his fist, shattering the floor, but the floor repaired itself instantly. The chamber was designed to be a prison for gods. It was self-correcting, immutable, eternal. Damn it, Vegeta screamed, the sound tearing his throat. Damn them all. Goku watched him, his expression unreadably calm. In that moment, the divergence began. As the millennia dragged into epochs, the isolation began to strip away their humanity layer by layer. The hunger for food faded, replaced by a direct consumption of the chamber's ambient magic. They stopped aging in the traditional sense, their cells locked in a stasis of survival, but they began to change. Goku found that the only way to endure the pain of eternity was to let go. He stopped thinking about Chi-Chi. He stopped thinking about the Earth. Those memories were sharp edges that cut his mind, so he smoothed them over. He closed his eyes and turned inward. He began to meditate on the nature of the void itself. If the void was empty, he would become empty. If the void was silent, he would become silence. He sought the state beyond ultra instinct, not just the body moving without thought, but the soul existing without ego. He began to fade, his presence becoming as light as a feather, his ki turning cool and expansive. Vegeta took the opposite path. The silence was a torment to him, a mocking reminder of his powerlessness. So, he filled the silence with noise, internal noise. He replayed every insult, every defeat, every moment of pride he had ever felt. He sharpened his mind into a weapon. He refused to let go of his ego. Instead, he condensed it. He compressed his pride, his rage, and his Saiyan heritage into a singular point of infinite density. He stopped looking for a way out and started looking for a way to break everything. And a perfect snapshot of tranquility. On the right, a zone of event horizon. Vegeta stood, his eyes open, the iris bleeding into a deep, corrupted violet. The floor around him was cracked and blackened, unable to heal because his aura was actively killing the magic of the room. He was muttering to himself, a mantra of ancient Saiyan malice,
Say it.
rewriting his own biology
Super
through sheer
Saiyan.
force of will. The mortal men, named Goku and Vegeta, were dying. In their place, something ancient was waking up. Time ceased to be a line. It became a liquid, thick, and suffocating.
That's why I said
By the
when there's no time, there's
500,000th
not enough
year,
time.
the silence had gained mass. It pressed against the skin like deep-sea water. The simple act of existence in the hyperbolic time chamber required a constant expenditure of will. For a normal soul, the isolation would have resulted in madness, followed by a vegetative catatonia. But Saiyans are creatures of adaptation. When pushed into a corner, they do not die. They evolve. And here, in this white hell, the evolution was not biological, but metaphysical. Goku had forgotten the taste of rice. He had forgotten the smell of rain on pavement. Worse, he had begun to forget the faces. The image of Chi-Chi was no longer a photograph in his mind. It was a blur of feelings, warmth, shouting, safety, abstracted into a sensation rather than a memory. He had stopped moving entirely. He hovered 3 feet off the ground, his legs crossed, his hands resting on his knees in a mudra of absolute stillness. He was no longer breathing, or rather, his breath had slowed to a geological pace. He would inhale for a month, drawing the raw, unrefined magical energy of the dimension into his lungs, and exhale for a month, releasing a purified, silver mist. He was filtering the void. Inside Goku's mind, the noise of the universe had flatlined. He wasn't suppressing his emotions, he was transcending them. He realized that the anger he felt toward the Grand Priest was a tether, a chain that bound him to the linear time he was trapped in. To be free, he had to stop wanting to be free. He had to accept that this was the universe. The walls were not a cage, they were the horizon. His aura changed. The jagged, roaring flame of the Super Saiyan forms vanished. In its place, a soft, pearlescent shimmer coated his skin. It was the glow of a star that burns without fuel, self-sustaining, eternal. He was tapping into the angel law, the power that comes from being nowhere and everywhere at once. Tar, you do not get to exist, Vegeta whispered. Not even in my memory. He squeezed. The energy flashed, and the phantom didn't just explode, it imploded. It was scrubbed from existence, and in that moment, a piece of Vegeta's actual memory vanished. He literally destroyed the neurons holding the memory of Frieza to fuel his power. He was cannibalizing his own past to feed his strength. His body was reacting to this self-mutilation. The royal blue spandex of his armor had fused to his skin, becoming a jagged, biological carapace. His muscles were dense, corded like steel cables, twitching with a nervous energy that rejected the calmness of the room. His hair, once a flame of pride, had hardened, spiking backward like a crown of obsidian thorns. The two forces, absolute acceptance and absolute rejection, were beginning to warp the dimension. A fissure appeared in the sky of the chamber. It wasn't a crack in the barrier, but a schism in reality. The white void could no longer accommodate both frequencies. To the left of the fissure, the world was hyper-real, sharp, and bathed in a blinding silver light. It was a domain of perfect order. To the right, the world was blurring, dark shadows bleeding into the white, the air heavy with a gravity that crushed bone. It was a domain of chaotic destruction. Goku opened his eyes. They were no longer black. They were a brilliant, rimless silver. He looked across the divide, seeing the dark singularity that was Vegeta. He felt no concern, no camaraderie, only a distant observation. Vegeta, Goku's voice projected, bypassing the air to ring directly in the prince's mind. It sounded like a choir of bells, terrifyingly beautiful. You are eating yourself. Vegeta stopped his shadow boxing. He turned, his eyes glowing with the violet light of a dying star. His voice came back like the grinding of tectonic plates. And you, Kakarot, You have become nothing. The names felt wrong in their mouths. Kakarot, Vegeta, they were names of mortals who had lived on a dirt rock called Earth. Those men were dead. What remained were two fundamental forces of the cosmos, trapped in a bottle, waiting for the glass to break. The final century of the millionth year arrived not with a bang, but with a shudder. The hyperbolic time chamber, an architectural marvel of the celestial realm, began to groan. The physics of the dimension were being stretched to their breaking point. exist. We are opposites. I am destruction. You are creation. If we fuse, we might explode. Goku finished. Or, we might become something the Grand Priest never accounted for. The sky groaned again. A massive section of the void collapsed, revealing a swirling vortex of raw erasure beneath the reality of the room. The deletion had begun. Vegeta stepped forward, his pride warm with his instinct to survive. He looked at the rival, who had been his only companion for 1,000,000 years. One time, Vegeta said, raising his finger. One time. And then, if we survive, I will kill the priest. And then I will kill you. Goku smiled, a faint, ghostly echo of his old grin. Sure, Vegeta, just get the steps right. They stood apart. The angel and the demon. The light and the shadow. They raised their arms. The eon of divergence was over. The age of paradox was about to begin. Fu, Scion, he. The fingers touched. The symmetry was perfect. The timing was absolute. By all metrics of the Metamoran art, the fusion should have been instantaneous. A blinding flash of birth. Instead, there was a sound like a scream being strangled. The moment their fingertips connected, a shockwave of rejection blasted outward, violently flinging them apart. Goku was hurled into the white void, skipping like a stone across the deleting reality. Vegeta was spiked downward, crashing through 3 layers of the crumbling floor. There was no fusion. There was only a cosmic gag reflex. The universe refused to digest the mixture. Goku skidded to a halt, his heels carving deep trenches into the nothingness. He looked at his hands. They were smoking not with fire, but with a gray, corroding ash. The mere contact with Vegeta's destruction energy had begun to rot his angelic stillness. It didn't work, Goku whispered, the calmness of his voice straining against confusion. The angles were perfect. Vegeta erupted from the debris, a pillar of violet rage. He was clutching his left hand. The tips of his fingers where he had touched Goku were frozen. Not with ice, but with stasis. The flesh had turned to unmoving marble. Goku's stillness had tried to pause Vegeta's existence. You fool, Vegeta roared, holding up his petrified hand. Oil and water. We are not just different energies anymore. Kakarot, we are different species of reality. I am trying to erase the universe, and you are trying to become it. We cannot fuse. The sky above them peeled back another layer. The deletion event was accelerating. The horizon was shrinking, the white void being eaten away by a gnawing, pixelated darkness at the edges of vision. They had minutes, perhaps seconds, before the concept of here ceased to exist. Goku floated upward, his silver eyes narrowing. He understood now. The Metamoran fusion required the participants to equalize their power levels. But this went deeper than power. It was about frequency. We are too pure, Goku stated, descending to face Vegeta. I am 100% angelic law. You are 100% demonic law. There is no bridge between us. If we force it, the resulting being will tear itself apart before it takes a breath. Then we die. Vegeta snarled, smashing his stone hand against his chest, shattering the stasis and forcing his blood to flow again through sheer grit. Because I cannot stop being what I am. I cannot power down my soul. No, Goku said, and for the first time in an eon, he clenched his fist. The soft, passive stance of the angel shifted. He adopted a fighting posture, not the fluid water of Ultra Instinct, but something older. The turtle school stance. We don't power down. We have to contaminate each other. Vegeta blinked, the violet fire in his eyes flickering. What? I need to beat some of my stillness into you, Goku said, his voice gaining a hard, mortal edge. And you need to beat some of your rage into me. We have to break our own molds. Vegeta stared at him, and then a twisted, terrifying grin spread across his face. He understood. To fuse, they had to be broken. They had to damage their perfect divine forms until they were jagged enough to lock together. The anatomy of a god. Vegeta fused, leveling a hand crackling with Hakai energy at Goku's face, is best studied when it is being dissected. Come on, Vegeta, Goku said, his aura flaring, not white, but sparking with a hint of blue friction. Let's see if you can make me feel pain again. Vegeta moved first. It was not a movement of speed, but of location. One moment he was standing on the edge of the abyss. The next, he occupied the space directly in front of Goku, his fist buried deep in the angel's gut. There was no sound of impact. The collision was too dense for sound. Instead, a shockwave of violet sludge erupted from Goku's back, blasting a hole through the white horizon. Goku's eyes widened. The perfect, silver tranquility of his irises fractured. For the first time in 100,000 years, he felt it. Not just physical impact, but invasion. Vegeta's ki was corrosive. It was acid poured into holy water. The punch didn't just break ribs. It injected malice into Goku's bloodstream. It forced his heart, which had been beating in a rhythm of universal stasis, to spasm in panic. Goku coughed, and what came out wasn't blood, but a spray of white sparks. He tumbled backward, crashing through the air, his perfect flight disrupted. He hit the ground and rolled, the dirt staining his pristine, translucent skin. Yes, Vegeta screamed, pursuing.
Scout rifle's not good. No, the scout rifle's not good. Oh. Fucking sniper. No sniper. I got him. Fuck. Oh, fuck off, man. You got me again. Fuck it. Oh, we didn't watch fucking Dragon Ball Z. Oh, it's so fun, fucking son of a bitch. It's so fucking fun, goddammit.
Control dangerous. See? No flames down here. Make every wash count.
Hey, it's me, your dry skin.
This place, Goku whispered, his battle-hardened instincts on high alert despite the beauty surrounding him. The energy here is insane. It's like the entire universe is alive. He tried to sense any key signatures, but what he felt instead made his blood run cold. There was no key. But even in this form, he could feel the overwhelming presence approaching. Roar! The sound shook the very fabric of reality, causing the floating islands to crack and splinter. From the crimson sky descended a dragon wreathed in flames that burned with colors that shouldn't exist. Purple fire, black flames that radiated light, golden infernos that froze instead of burned. Its scales were like molten gold, each one carved with ancient symbols that predated written language. Its eyes were twin suns of pure fire, containing the birth and death of a million stars within their depths. When it landed before Goku, the ground itself ignited, transforming into a sea of cosmic fire that didn't consume, but transformed everything it touched. The dragons. Goku felt his Super Saiyan 2 form flickering, struggling to maintain itself against the sheer pressure of this being's existence. I am Ignis of the Eternal Flame. The dragon's voice boomed like 1,000 volcanoes erupting in harmony. Each word sounded through reality itself. Guardian of the first fire, keeper of creation's forge, and the one who has burned breath. You stand before me seeking the power of the dragon god. But power without understanding is mere destruction without purpose. Ignis lowered his massive head, bringing one enormous eye level with Goku. Within that eye, Goku could see universes being born and destroyed, an endless cycle of creation and annihilation playing out in an instant. First trial, show me you understand the true meaning of destruction. Goku's Saiyan instincts kicked in immediately. He dropped into defiant stance, his blue aura intensifying as he gathered his energy. All right, if it's a fight you want, I won't hold back. Ha! With explosive speed, Goku launched himself at Ignis, his fist pulled back and charged with enough divine energy to shatter a planet. The air itself screamed as he broke the sound barrier 1,000 times over, his attack leaving a trail of blue fire in his wake. Wham! His punch connected directly with Ignis' chest, and absolutely nothing happened. The dragon didn't even flinch. What? Goku's eyes widened in shock. That punch had to destroy solar systems, yet it had zero effect. Before he could react, Ignis' massive claw moved with a speed that defied the dragon's size. Crash! Goku was swatted away like an insect, his body crashing through 3 floating islands before he managed to stop himself. He coughed, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, his ribs screaming in agony despite his godly form. Impossible, he gasped, wiping the blood away. That barely looked like he tried. He powered up further, his aura exploding outward as he pushed Super Saiyan Blue to its absolute limits. The blue energy around him intensified, crackling with silver hints as he began to tap into Ultra Instinct. Kaioken times 20, he roared. His aura turned into a mixture of blue and crimson, his power multiplying exponentially. The very realm around him began to crack from the pressure of his energy. He blitzed forward again, this time moving so fast that he created after images, each one real enough to have its own presence. He struck from 100 different angles simultaneously, punches, kicks, energy blasts, each one carrying enough force to obliterate galaxies. Bam! 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 Every single attack connected. The sound was like thunder across dimensions, and Ignis stood completely unmoved, not a single scratch on his golden scales. You still don't understand, warrior. Strike me with all your power if you wish. You can punch me for 1,000 years and nothing would change. The trial is not about destroying me. Goku powered down, breathing heavily, his body aching from the exertion. Frustration bubbled up inside him, a feeling he rarely experienced. He'd fought gods, angels, and beings of unimaginable power, but this was different. This wasn't about being stronger or faster. This was something else entirely. Then what is it about? He asked, his voice carrying genuine confusion. If it's not about fighting, then how do I pass this trial? Ignis' eyes gleamed with something that might have been approval at the question. The dragon spread creates, declared Ignis. Watch and learn, son Goku. See the truth that existed before gods walked the cosmos. The dragon unleashed a torrent of cosmic fire that consumed everything. The floating islands, the bridges of starlight, the very air itself seemed to burn with flames that existed beyond the physical plane. Goku raised his arms to defend himself, his energy flaring instinctively, but the flames didn't hurt him. Instead, he watched in absolute amazement as the fire consumed the old landscape. And from the ashes, worlds were born. Where there had been simple floating islands, now entire ecosystems emerged. Trees of crystal sprouted from the scorched ground, their branches reaching toward the cosmic sky, each leaf refracting light into rainbow patterns that sang with harmonic frequencies. Rivers of liquid starlight flowed through valleys that hadn't existed moments before, their waters containing the building blocks of life itself. Strange and beautiful creatures began to appear, beings of pure energy taking physical forms, adapting to the new environment. They weren't created by Ignis, they emerged naturally from the rich foundation his destruction had provided. Do you see? Ignis's voice had softened, taking on the tone of a wise teacher. True destruction is not an end, it is a transformation. Metamorphosis from what was to what can be. The old must burn so the new can rise from its ashes. The dragon's massive form coiled around Goku, not threatening but protective, like a parent embracing a child. When he spoke next, his words carried the weight of eons. A forest fire seems devastating to those who witness it. Trees burn, animals flee, destruction reigns, but what comes after? The dead wood that choked new growth is cleared. The soil is enriched with ash and nutrients. Seeds that could only germinate in extreme heat finally sprout. In 5 years, the forest is more alive than it was in 50 years before the fire. Goku listened intently, his mind beginning to grasp the concept, but struggling with its implications. A star must die in a supernova, the most destructive force in the natural universe, to create heavy elements that form planets. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon that makes up your very DNA, all of it was forged in the death throes of ancient stars. Destruction and creation are not opposites, warrior. They are partners in the eternal dance of existence. Goku slowly lowered his arms, the blue aura around him fading as he powered down completely. He looked around at the new world Ignis had created, really seeing it for the first time. I never thought about it that way, he admitted quietly. I've always just destroyed things that needed to be destroyed. Bad guys, evil planets, threats to Earth. But I never thought about what came after. Your ultra instinct allows you to move without thinking, Ignis said, his massive tail creating new patterns in the cosmic sand. But it is still reactive, still defensive. You dodge attacks, you counter strikes, you survive through instinct. That is the peak of martial arts, yes, but it is not enough for what you seem to become. The dragon's massive eyes blazed brighter, condensed into those trial. You must show me that you can destroy this with intention, with the understanding that what you tear down, you do so to build something greater. You must learn to see the potential in destruction, not just the loss. Goku closed his eyes, and memories flooded through his mind like a raging river. Planet Vegeta, destroyed by Frieza, leading to his survival and the protection of Earth. The Saiyan race nearly extinct, but their legacy lived on through him, Vegeta, and their children. Frieza's empire torn down through years of rebellion and his own defeat at Goku's hands. The Red Ribbon Army torn down twice.
twice over, but Dr. Gero's hatred led to the creation of androids 17 and 18, who became protectors of Earth. Cell, an abomination created from stolen DNA. His destruction led to Gohan awakening his true potential and gave Earth 7 years of peace. Even Kid Boo's complete annihilation led to the birth of Oob, a pure soul with incredible potential who would one day protect the Earth. Every time I've destroyed something, Goku said slowly, opening his eyes with no understanding. Something new. I just never saw it as my responsibility. I thought my job ended when the threat was gone. And that is where you belong, Ignis said firmly, but not unkindly. The Dragon God is not merely a warrior. The Dragon God is a force of nature, of change, of evolution, of transformation. To wield that power, you must accept responsibility not just for what you destroy, but for what rises from those ashes. Goku nodded slowly, then took a deep breath. He could feel something shifting inside him, a new understanding taking root in his soul. He raised his hand, and energy began to gather, but this time it was different. Instead of the destructive ki he usually wielded, something new formed in his palm. It pulsed with a strange duality, one half swirling with the violent energy of destruction, the other glowing with the gentle light of creation. Trying to hold both in balance was like trying to mix water and oil, to hold fire and ice in the same hand without either overwhelming the other. Sweat poured down Goku's face as he concentrated harder than he ever had before. This wasn't about power. He had plenty of that. This was about control, about understanding, about fundamentally changing how he viewed his own energy. His body began to tremble from the effort. The two opposing forces wanted to tear each other apart, to destroy each other, but Goku held them together through sheer force of will, refusing to let either side win. That's it, he growled through gritted teeth. You're both part of the same thing, destruction and creation, two sides of the same coin. The energy in his palm began to stabilize, the two halves slowly merging into something new. It wasn't blue like his godly ki, nor silver like ultra instinct. It was something else, a swirling mix of crimson and gold, pulsing with the rhythm of stars being born and dying. I think I've got it, Goku shouted, and with a powerful thrust, he released the energy. The blast shot forward and struck one of the new crystal trees Ignis had created. But instead of destroying it, something incredible happened. The tree dissolved into pure energy, its structure breaking down completely. But that energy immediately reformed into 3 new trees, each one more vibrant and alive than the original. The destruction had created more life, not less. Goku stared at his hand in wonder, then at the new trees, then back at his hand. A huge grin spread across his face, his signature expression of joy when learning something new. I did it! I actually did it! That was amazing! Did you see that, Ignis? The dragon's laughter boomed across the realm, a sound like the roar of wildfire mixed with the crackling of a warm hearth. It was fierce and comforting at all once. You begin to understand, Son Goku, Ignis said with unmistakable pride in his voice. This is only the first step on a long path, but it is the most important step. Destruction is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It shows you what must change, what must evolve, what must be transformed. The dragon's form began to glow, his scales burning with an intensity that would vaporize all matter. He rose up on his hind legs, spreading his wings wide, and spoke with the voice of prophecy. Remember this lesson in the battles to come, warrior. You will face enemies that cannot be simply defeated. You will encounter problems that cannot be simply solved. In those moments, you will need to destroy parts of yourself to become what you must be. You will need to let old ways burn so new understanding can emerge. Ignis's entire body erupted into flames, not destructive fire, but transformative energy. The flames spiraled inward, condensing, compressing down into a single point of light that shot forward and merged with Goku's chest. Ah! Goku screamed as the essence of Ignis flowed into
You told me that she wants 2 jobs.
his entire being was on fire.
Fuck.
Every cell burning,
Nothing.
forming, his
I'm
DNA
nothing.
rewriting itself on a fundamental level. Knowledge flooded his mind. The wisdom of creation through destruction. The understanding that every ending contains a beginning. The truth that nothing truly dies, it only transforms. When the pain finally subsided, Goku fell to one knee, breathing heavily. But when he looked up, his eyes briefly flashed with flames before returning to normal. He could feel Ignis's presence inside him now, not controlling him, but guiding him, a new layer of understanding added to his soul. Thank you, Goku said quietly, genuine gratitude in his voice. I learned something today that I should have understood a long time ago. But there was no time to rest or reflect on the lesson. The realm began to shift, the cosmic landscape transforming around him. The islands of crystal and fire dissolved, replaced by something entirely different. Goku felt himself falling, the ground vanishing beneath his feet. He plummeted through layers of reality, each one showing him a different version of the cosmos. He saw universes being born, expanding, contracting, and dying. He saw timelines splitting and merging. He saw the very fabric of existence flowing like a great river. And then he hit water. Chapter 2: The Flowing Depths of Transformation. Goku plunged deep into an ocean that defied all logic and reason. This wasn't water in any normal sense. It was liquid reality, sentient and aware, flowing with thoughts and emotions and memories that weren't his own. It pressed against him from all sides, and he could feel it trying to communicate, trying to teach him something through osmosis rather than words. The pressure here was different from anything he'd experienced. It wasn't physical pressure like deep-sea diving, nor was it the spiritual pressure of overwhelming ki. This was the pressure of infinite possibility, of potential unrealized, of paths not taken. Every drop of this cosmic ocean represented a choice, a change, a transformation that could be, but wasn't yet. From the infinite depths rose a presence that dwarfed even Ignis, a dragon of pure liquid, its body constantly shifting and changing, never the same from one moment to the next. Its scales were waves that crashed and reformed eternally. Its eyes were whirlpools of ancient wisdom, spiraling inward to depths of no bottom. When it moved, currents and riptides reshaped entire sections of the ocean realm. I am Aquaria of the infinite depths. The water dragon's voice flowed like a river, sometimes a gentle stream, sometimes a roaring rapid, always moving, always changing, keeper of the flowing path, guardian of transformation's tide, one who lived since before stillness existed. You seek to become absolute, but you still cling to rigidity. You still hold.
me by the nose, huh? Fucking fight! Don't bring my nose! Fucking son of a bitch! Fucking life! Yeah. You go cool fucking.
Trying to breathe as you did before, Aquaria's voice thundered through the air. The sound waves nearly ruptured Goku's eardrums, even though he was underwater. You seek truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried my best. What's my hair color coming? Between 3:15 and 7:15. Where is it? Yeah, let's see. Oh, it's almost here. But it's almost here. It's almost here. Good. Yeah, kids have fun. That's it. Yeah. You guys have fun. Yeah. They stay stuck here. Fucking life is just life. Sucks life. This fucking life ain't good. It's like not fun. You guys have fun. You have fun. You have fun. Enjoy your life. You got him, boys. We got him, fucking. Wait for the clock to tick down. Just wait for the clock to go boom boom, tick down, bye bye. Det är not a short text letter rochen dan. Så mooi rochen dan. Die wij niet be happy or be miserable. So I shut phone, shut TV, I don't wanna fucking watch nothing. Did I get his res? Fucking nice. Yeah, his res, fucking. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z, huh? Oh, yeah. No, fucking love Dragon Ball Z. I got him. And we're gonna watch Dragon Ball Z. That's it. Let's go watch some Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z. Chris, no. Damn it. What the fuck you res me? Oh, you res me? Oh, good, thank you, guy. You res me, thank you so much. Good. Oh, we don't fucking good teams. That's it. We don't. Nice. Get the catalyst done. Let's see. We got part of it done for the third iteration. Yeah. So get done. Yeah. I like this exotic catalyst. Third iteration. It's a good gun. Scout rifle. To left side and left. Counter left. Counter left side. Left side. There you go. Okay. Let me see what other catalysts we have. So Luzaku, I'm gonna put that one next. I gotta do that one. I said let's do that one now. Luzaku catalyst. Okay, we'll go do Luzaku catalyst now. Snooze button. My snooze button's on my digital watch.
In the center of the null realm, amidst the shattered debris of the tournament of power, the Reality King raised a small, colorful hand. The gesture was innocent, childlike, terrifyingly absolute. Goku, battered and broken, his ultra instinct silver fading into the bruising purple of exhaustion, reached out. His fingers clawed the empty air, desperate to offer a friendship that had suddenly turned into an execution. With the space between them warped, the concept of distance evaporated. There was a sound like tearing parchment, a wet, cosmic rip that echoed in the bones of every god watching from the stands. Goku felt the erasure before he saw it. It was not pain. Pain is a signal sent to a living brain, but this was the dismantling of the brain itself. His memories, his battles, the smell of the evaporation.
Yes, I got it. That's a good one.
They were simply unwritten. He looked at his hand. It was gone. Not sudden,
Got him.
but absent, as if it had never held a dragon, never clenched into a fist of defiance. Air screamed a name that no longer existed. The Grand Priest smiled, a cold, fitting expression that accepted the void. But as the white nothingness swallowed the last part of the Saiyan's consciousness,
Let's side. Get him good.
a golden heat that smelled of molten stars and wish magic. A massive, reptilian eye, open and deep and dark, behind the fabric of Xeno's reality. It was not a god of destruction. It was a god of possibility. And just before the candle of Son Goku was snuffed out forever, a golden jaw, vast enough to swallow galaxies, clamped shut around him, snatching him from the timeline. The null realm fell silent. The Saiyan was gone. But he was not dead. The timeline is fractured, and the ink of destiny is wet. Before we descend into the throat of the Dragon God and witness a power that defies the kings of all, anchor your spirit to this legend. Ignite the like button to lend your energy to the spirit bomb of this narrative, and subscribe so you do not vanish into the void when the history
Yeah, hit the like button. Yeah, sub. Yeah.
were cold as a measurement, and here there was nothing to measure. Son Goku did not
Yeah.
floating implies a medium to rest upon. He simply ceased. The sensation was not like falling asleep, nor was it the lack of consciousness that followed a
No, I don't fall asleep.
It was the terrifying.
No, I watch Dragon Ball Z.
It was the feeling of a sentence being backspaced, letter by letter.
Playing my game.
The memory of his grandfather's face dissolved. The smell of Kaija's cooking.
Kaija.
An electric current that had driven his heart for 40 years was snuffed out like a candle in a hurricane. He was a ghost of a memory.
Oh, those guys have fun.
The absolute white of reality.
I think he fell off. Fucking.
There was a heartbeat. It was not his own. It was too slow.
You fell off. Fucking.
It was a rhythmic thrumming that
Galaxy gives yours one.
His lungs inflating with air that tasted of ozone and ancient parchment. His eyes snapped open. He was on
Get his wrist.
coughing up a translucent silver fluid that sizzled as it hit the ground. But it wasn't ground. He was kneeling on a surface that resembled polished amber and was
Tomorrow's Monday the 5th.
stretching out into a horizon that curved upward.
Oh, nice.
Possible magnitude. Above him, there was no
Get a wrist, fucking guy.
nebula of golden clouds, thick and heavy, moving with the lethargy of oil. I'm alive, Goku whispered. His voice sounded wrong, distorted, layered, as if three versions of himself were
So
speaking.
Zaku.
He looked at his hands. They were translucent, flickering like a failing hologram before solidifying into flesh. The scars from his battle with Jiren were gone. His ki was intact, but the orange fabric seemed muted, stripped of its vibrancy. He scrambled to his feet.
Got him.
His combat
How much is Admiral Zaku Petals finished?
He reached out with his senses,
Let's see.
expecting to feel the stinging pressure of Jiren.
36%.
Of the terrifying emptiness of the Grand Priest. He felt nothing. No key existed here. Only a pervasive, crushing weight that pressed against his mind. A gravity that pulled not on his body, but on his will. Beerus? Peace, Goku shouted, cupping his hands around his mouth. Hey, is anyone there? His shout didn't echo. The sound was swallowed instantly by the heavy golden air. Silence.
Got him?
Son of Bardo.
Yeah.
The voice did not come from a specific direction. It
Oh,
vibrated
then they got me for suppressor name.
It was a voice of dust and diamonds, ancient beyond the concept of time. The amber floor beneath Goku's feet trembled.
Suppressor name.
The clouds above parted slowly, like heavy curtains drawn back by invisible giants. From the swirling mist, a shape descended. It was serpentine, vast enough to coil around the
Nice.
galaxy. Scales the size of
GG's.
shimmering with a luster that made the super dragon
GG,
look
buddy.
like marbles.
GG, fucking GG.
His eyes burned with red fire.
Oh, I gotta put my drops in. Right. It's 4:30. That's my drops. November.
The architect of the Impossible. Goku took a step back, his boots squeaking on the amber floor. The pressure radiating from the entity forced him into a defensive stance, his knees bending instinctively. He tried to summon his ki to flare the silver flame of Ultra Instinct, but his energy sputtered, dying in his chest like a wet match. What are you? Goku stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. Where is the tournament? Where is Jiren? The tournament is a memory. Zalama rumbled, his massive head lowering until it hovered mere meters from the sand. The heat radiating from the dragons is now the smell of creation of magma and blooming flowers. The one we call Jiren is currently fighting for a universe that has already been earmarked for deletion. You, however, are nowhere. You are in the space between the ink and the paper. You are in my throat. Goku unclenched his fists. Confusion warring in his warriors. Did you eat me? I salvaged you, Zalama corrected.
112 plus.
Does not understand the tapestry he unpicks.
Plus 112.
Unaware that the entire cloth unravels.
Plus.
When he erased you, I caught your essence before it returned to the void. I invoked the primordial right of the creator. The dragon shifted, its massive coils sliding against each other.
I'm gonna have fun.
To the multiverse. Son Goku, you are dead.
I'm gonna have fun. Yeah. I'm gonna have fucking fun. Yeah, that's really my fun.
Gods. I erased from existence. The words hit Goku harder than any punch Jiren had thrown. The image of the Grand Priest, smiling, the flank face of Xeno raising his hand, it all crashed back into his mind. He wasn't just beaten, he was discarded. No, Goku said, his voice trembling, then hurried. No, I can't be dead. I promised. I have to go back. If I'm not there, who's going to stop Jiren? Who's going to win the wish?
Well, let them have
There's
fun.
no wish to be won, Zalama said, his voice dropping down. Do you think the wish granted by my orbs can fix the rot at the heart of your reality? You fight for survival in a game written by a child who treats universes as toys. If you return now, you return to the same cycle. You fight, you break your limits, you amuse the gods, and eventually the child gets bored. And then, click. Zalama's white eyes narrow. I did not save you to let you return to be a plaything, saying, I saved you because the balance is broken. Destruction has outweighed creation for too long. The angels are complicit. The destroyers are incompetent. And the king is a chaotic variable. The dragon god's breath washed over Goku, hot and heavy. I require a vessel, not to make a wish, but to become the wish. Goku looked up, his black eyes meeting the white voids of the dragon. He chill that had nothing to do with fear. It was the chill of destiny, the sensing of a wall that he could not punch through, a wall that he had to climb. I don't understand all this God talk, Goku said, his voice low. I just want to protect my friends. If you say I can't go back, then they'll find a way out of here. It'll bust out if I have to. Zalama did not laugh. Ancient things do not laugh. Instead, the golden atmosphere thickened, turning into a solid pressure that slammed Goku flat against the amber floor. He struggled, his muscles straining, veins popping in his neck, but he couldn't move a millimeter. It wasn't gravity. It was authority. It possessed the will of a conqueror with the vision of a peasant. Zalama's voice boomed, vibrating the floor against Goku's chest. You think of busting out. You think of fighting. That is why you fit. That is why you were raised. Ultra instinct allowed you to move without thinking, but it did not teach you to exist without permission. The pressure lifted slightly, allowing Goku to gasp for air, his ribs aching. To leave this place, son Goku, you must do the one thing a Saiyan cannot do. You must stop wanting to fight. You must learn to ride. The pressure vanished as quickly as it had arrived, leaving Goku gasping on the smooth amber floor. He pushed himself up, his limbs trembling not from exhaustion, but from the sheer alien nature of the force that had just pinned him. It wasn't ki, it was something denser, something that felt like the heavy, inevitable turning of a page in a history book. Right. Goku wheezed, wiping a trickle of blood from his nose. He looked up at the towering visage of Zalama, defiance still burning in his eyes, though dimmed by confusion. I'm a martial artist. I don't know.
I can be in peace
That's
with
what
our
I'm
ocean.
and look where that has gotten you. Zalama intoned. It breaks my eyes. Of delivering force from point A to point B. You shatter rocks. You break bones. You push energy beams. These are the actions of a child throwing stones in a pond. The ripples are violent, yes, but the water returns to stillness. You change nothing permanently. The dragon god shifted, and the golden nebula above them swirled, forming images. Goku watched, mesmerized, as shapes coalesced in the mist. He saw Frieza blowing up planet Vegeta. He saw Cell disintegrating. He saw Boo being erased by the spirit bomb. You defeat threats, Zalama continued, the images cycling faster. But the universe generates new ones to fill the vacuum. You crave the battle, Saiyan. You invite the chaos because it gives you purpose. You are addicted to the crisis. Goku opened his mouth to argue, to say that wasn't true, that he fought because he had to, but the words caught in his throat. A memory flashed, begging Krillin to let Vegeta go on Earth, not out of mercy, but because he wanted to fight him again. Giving Cell a sense of being, reminding Zeno of the tournament. Shame, odd and unfamiliar, pricked at the back of his neck. To dethrone Omni-Face, Zalama said, the golden clouds dispersing, you cannot simply be stronger than him. Strength is irrelevant to a being who can embrace the concept of strength. To defeat him, you must be more real than he is. You must anchor your existence so deeply in the fabric of reality that you cannot be removed. You must become an axiom. Axiom. Goku tested the word. It felt heavy on his tongue. The angels wield the power of autonomy ultra instinct. The destroyers wield the power of entropy hakai. I wield the power of possibility creation. Zalama lowered his head until he was eye level with the tiny sand. I cannot leave this dimension. My power is too vast. It would shatter the fragile glass of the lower worlds. I need a proxy. The living intersection of these three powers. You have the Saiyan drive for evolution. You have tasted the angelic calm. Now, you must ingest the dragon's will. Before Goku could react, a globule of golden light detached from one of Zalama's floating scales. It drifted down, pulsating with a rhythmic, drum-like beat. It hovered in front of Goku's chest, radiating a heat that singed the hair on his arms. This is a drop of my blood, Zalama stated. It is not heat. It is pure narrative authority. If you accept it, your biology will be rewritten. You will no longer be just a Saiyan. You will be a hybrid of mortal flesh and divine law. The pain will be beyond the nerve endings of a physical body. It will burn your soul. Goku looked at the golden drop. He thought of Vegeta, struggling against Toppo. He thought of Gohan, Piccolo, and 17. He thought of the universe he had left behind, spinning toward a silent, erased doom. If I do this, Goku asked, his voice steady now, the trembling gone. If I survive this, can I fix it? Can I stop Zeno from erasing everything? Just because he's bored? You will have the power to try, Zalama answered. But know this, the Goku who steps out of this cocoon will not be the Goku who entered. You will lose the luxury of being a fool. Goku closed his eyes. The stars burned quietly, as if remembering his will. And in the center of all things, the Golden Guardian kept eternal champion of a story that would never end. His eyes rolled back, the irises dissolving from black to silver, then shattering into vertical, reptile slits of burning gold. His orange key disintegrated, blown away by a shockwave of pressure that cracked the amber floor beneath him. His body arched, muscles tearing, and reknitting in milliseconds. His spine elongated, cracking audibly. Scales, tiny, microscopic, shimmering scales began to form along his forearms and neck, hardening his skin into living armor. Endure, Zalama's voice thundered, no longer external, but echoing inside Goku's own skull. Do not fight the pain. Accept it. Rewrite it. You are not dying. You are being edited. Goku's consciousness began to fragment. He was falling through the multiverse. He saw timelines where he died of the heart virus, timelines where he joined Raditz, timelines where he became a god of destruction. He saw them all, not as possibilities, but as rejected drafts. I am Son Goku, his mind screamed, trying to hold on to his identity as the golden fire consumed him. I am a Saiyan from Earth. You were. The dragon's voice whispered. Now, you are the instrument of will. The transformation reached its crescendo. A pillar of golden light erupted from Goku's chest, piercing the nebula above. The dimension shook. The silence of the void was broken by a roar that was half human, half beast. A sound of primal, terrifying birth. And then, silence returned. On the amber floor, the figure lay curled in a fetal position. Smoke rose from his skin. The orange key was gone, replaced by a manifestation of energy that looked like ancient, woven ceremonial robes, dark gray and gold. His hair was no longer the frantic spikes of a Super Saiyan, nor the flowing silver of Ultra Instinct. It was black, deep as the void, but streaked with veins of pulsating gold, hanging loose and wild around his shoulders. The figure stirred, a hand placed palm down on the floor. The fingers were tipped with short, sharp claws. Goku pushed himself up. He breathed, and a small puff of steam escaped his lips. He opened his eyes. The pupils were vertical slits of piercing gold, set in pools of silver. They were not the eyes of a fighter looking for an opponent. They were the eyes of a king looking at his kingdom. He looked at Zalam, and for the first time, he did not feel small. I see it now. The entity that was once Goku spoke. His voice was calm, resonating with a metallic, harmonic undertone. I see the strings. Zalama nodded slowly, a gesture of colossal respect. The lesson has begun. Now, we must sharpen the quill. Stand up, Dragon Angel. The real training begins now. Time in Zalama's realm did not tick. It flowed, sluggish and fading, like honey years ago. But outside, in the fragile reality of the multiverse, the clock was racing. Goku stood in the center of the amber expanse, his new eyes tracking particles of dust that didn't exist. He felt different, heavy, yet weightless. The burning agony of the transformation had settled into a low, constant hum in his chest. Limitless potential. The golden blood of the dragon god now with his same DNA, creating a volatile, terrifying harmony. You were standing still. Zalama's voice rumbled. The great dragon coiled in the mist like a mountain range, waiting to fall. Why? I'm listening. Goku replied. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. His voice carried effortlessly, weaving through the dense air. I can hear them. The universes. They sound brittle. Good. Zalama said. You are hearing the structural integrity of the
Bye 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 bye. Geçmeyin. Meni vaš dosta zlama. Meni vaš stiti sramota. Da nisi ste supportirali mene since 16 years. Sramota. Ona ne radi. Si kužio? Si kužio, ona take care of grandmother.
Wish for me to be struck. Goku frowned. This was abstract, frustrating. It went against every instinct he had honed in the dojo. Don't think, just move. Whis had taught him. Let the body react. But this demanded active thought.
Stiti sramota.
Command. He dropped into a stance.
Stiti sramota, ja nemam supportu u ovaj dižu. Stiti sramota.
Akira Toriyama Sensei left a future behind for Goku, and in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what that future is. Before we get into it, if you want to see more Dragon Ball content like this, it's like
You obeyed the laws of physics. transformation of his entire existence. He was slain into pure form with enough force to shatter a planet. The breath was driven from his lungs, his vision swimming in red and black. Again, Zalama commanded, do not throw energy. The energy is already there. The energy is everywhere. Do not push the rock. Command the rock to move. Use the language of gods. Goku groaned, peeling himself off the floor. His body ached, but the dragon blood inside him surged, knitting his bruised flesh together in seconds. Commanded, he thought. Don't ask. Don't push. Command. He closed his eyes again. He reached deep, past the reservoir of ki, into the new, burning golden core Zalama had given him. He felt the thread of reality. He felt the space between him and Zalama, not as distance, but as a variable. Distance equals 0. He didn't lunge. He didn't tense his muscles. He simply decided that his fist was connecting with Zalama's now. Exist. He punched. There was no travel time. One moment, his fist was at his waist. The next, it was buried in the golden scales of the dragon god. Boom. The impact didn't sound like an explosion. It sounded like a bell tolling, a deep, resonant gong that shook the entire dimension. A ripple of golden light distorted the air around the impact point. Zalma's head actually jerked back a centimeter. Goku stared at his fist, stunned. He hadn't moved through the space. He had folded the space out of the way. Better, Zalama murmured, a low growl from Adamant. You bypassed causality. You struck before you moved. That is the beginning of the dragon instinct. For what felt like eons, the training continued. It was a brutal deconstruction of everything Goku knew. He learned that speed was irrelevant when he could occupy all points in a room simultaneously. He learned that defense was unnecessary when you could rewrite the timeline so the attack never happened. He learned that power wasn't about the size of the beam, but the undeniable nature of the command. He wasn't just learning to fight. He was learning to be an author in a world of characters. But as Goku grew stronger, the multiverse grew thicker. In the middle of a meditation session, where Goku floated cross-legged in the Golden Nebula, a jagged crack appeared in the sky of Zalama's dimension. It wasn't a physical crack. It was a fracture in the viewing glass. Through it, the gray, static-filled void of the null realm leaked in. Goku's eyes snapped open. The gold in his irises flared. What is that? The lie, Zalama said, his voice grave. The Grand Priest is trying to stabilize the balance, but he is failing. Zeno has erased another universe. Universe 6 is gone. Goku's heart skipped a beat. Champa, Kava, cauliflower, kale, gone, Goku whispered. The calm of the dragon blood wavered, the hot, frantic anger of the Saiyan bubbling up. He erased them? Just like that. The game was lost, Zalama said, and so the pieces were discarded. This is the nature of your king. Goku stood up in the air, the golden robes of energy billowing around him. His jaw set, a muscle feathering in his cheek. The indifference of it, the casual cruelty. It wasn't evil, it was worse. It was meaningless. I'm not waiting anymore, Goku said, his voice vibrating with a dual-layered resonance. I'm ready. Send me back. You are not ready, Zalama warned. You have mastered the mechanics, but your heart is still tethered to your mortality. You grieve for them. Emotion is fuel, yes, but it is also a leash. If you confront the angels with anger, they will unravel you. I don't care, Goku roared, and for a second, the Golden Nebula turned a violent, crimson red. The dimension shook. They're my friends! I promised Vegeta I'd bring them back! I promised! He clenched his fists, and the space around him shattered like glass. Shards of reality rained down. Zalama watched, silent. He saw the grief, he saw the rage, but beneath it, he saw something else. The terrifying, indomitable will that refused to accept the ending. Very well, Zalama said quietly. Perhaps that tether is what makes you dangerous. The angels are detached. That is their flaw. They do not care enough to break the rules. You care too much. The dragon god opened his massive jaws. Inside, a vortex of swirling light appeared. A portal, not to a place, but to a moment. Go, son Goku. The Grand Priest has dispatched his children to locate the anomaly. They are hunting your signature. If you step through this door, you declare war on the heavens. Goku floated toward the maw of the dragon. He stopped at the precipice, looking back at the ancient, white eyes. I'm not declaring war, Goku said, his expression grim, the golden vertical slits of his eyes burning with cold fire. He conducted the rescue operation. He stepped into the light. The transition was instant. One moment, warm amber light. The next, the freezing, crushing silence of the interuniversal void. superstructure that held them. A kaleidoscope of floating, translucent bubbles. Far in the distance, you can see the dim flicker of Universe 7 and the gaping black wound where Universe 6 used to be. You didn't have to wait long. Space warmed. A vertical pillar of blue light descended a few hundred meters away. From the light stepped a figure, elegant, tall, holding a staff topped with a floating gem. It was Whis. The angel looked impeccable, his halo shimmering, his expression one of polite curiosity, masked by absolute detachment. He tapped his staff on the non-existent floor. "Oh my," he said, his voice light and airy. We were wondering where that strange interference was coming from. I must say, Goku-san, you look changed. Technically, it was supposed to be that. Just drifted, his hands loose at his sides. Golden gray robes of energy flowing as if underwater. Weeks, Goku said. It wasn't a greeting. It was an acknowledgement. The Grand Priest is quite upset. Whis continued, tilting his head. You violated the decree. Unauthorized in my essence. I'm afraid he'll have to ask you to come with me. Or, alternatively, he'll have to tap you with the staff and finish what Zeno-san started. Whis smiled, but his eyes were cold. Please don't make this difficult, Goku-san. You know you can't hit me. Goku stopped 2 meters away. He looked at his teacher, the name who had taught him to move without thinking, who had introduced him to the realm of the gods. He felt a pang of sadness, sharp and deep. "I'm not going back, please," Goku said softly, "and I'm not asking for permission." Whis sighed. A pity. The angel vanished. He moved faster than thought, faster than time. "Hello. I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you. And let's begin our creative audio journey. Goku is God. He walked through them. Every time Whis fist connected with Goku's body, it passed into smoke, only to solidify again instantly. Goku walked forward, step by step, closing the distance. "You're dodging," Goku said, his voice echoing with the authority of Zalama. "You're reacting to the attack before it lands. But I'm not attacking you. I'm rewriting the space you're standing in." Goku raised his hand. He didn't make a fist. He pointed a finger at Whis. Sit. It wasn't a suggestion. Read it into the code of the moment. Gravity. Multiplied by a billion. Crashed down on the angel. Whis gasped, his knees buckling. His halo flickered. He slammed his staff into the void to support himself, sweat breaking out on his pale skin.
Yeah.
Whis strained. His composure shattered. This isn't God. Goku stood over him, looking down. There was no arrogance in his face, only a terrible, necessary resolve. It's the end of the lesson. Whis, Goku said. He raised his palm, and a sphere of golden light, swirling with galaxies, formed in his hand. "Go tell the Grand Priest," Goku said, his voice vibrating through the void. "Tell him the dragon is awake, and I'm coming for the throne." The palace of the All King was a monument to sterility. It was a place where dust dared not settle, where silence was not an absence of sound, but a law enforced by the fabric of reality. In the past, White Throne Room, the Grand Priest Daishinkan stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He was watching the two Zenos play a game of cosmic marbles, flipping heads across a board made of woven starlight. 1, 2, go. The present Zeno giggled, lifting a blue marble, a galaxy in the northern quadrant. The future Zeno clapped. "My turn," Daishinkan smiled. A small, light expression that did not reach his violet eyes. He checked the balance of the multiverse. It was tipping.
At Wayfair, we're game for every style.
Fuck you, Carney, you fucking bitch!
Well, guys, I know I'm not going to shock any of you by saying this, but Prime Minister Mark Carney blew it. His statement in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's operation to capture the communist dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, was embarrassingly bad, and it reveals a lot of weaknesses about Carney as a politician as well as the Liberal Party itself. Here's the problem for the Liberal Party right now. They are...
This is not imperialism. This is liberation.
The left are completely melting down. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we have the woke left in numerous countries, including Canada, completely outraged that Donald Trump freed the people of Venezuela. This is blowing up around the world. Let's jump into this. First up, we've got an
Oh, look what he did.
7-Eleven plans to close more than 400 locations across the country.
7-Eleven is closing hundreds of stores across North America. The convenience store chain says it is shutting down more than 400 underperforming locations.
7-Eleven closing 444 underperforming stores across North America. The convenience store chain has more than 13,000 locations across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. The company says the closures are because of slowing sales the past 6 months, fewer cigarette purchases, and inflation.
It's very concerning when we see retailers making decisions that they believe they have to make to close their doors because of the amount of theft.
There's a sign in the window. This 7-Eleven on Ellis Avenue is closed. So is this one on McPhillips.
Canada is in disbelief as 7-Eleven shuts down hundreds of stores, and trust me, the story behind those dark windows is way uglier than anyone's admitting. The most iconic convenience store brand on the planet is collapsing, and this is the clearest sign yet that Canada's everyday economy is breaking in broad daylight. And if a 24/7 giant built to survive recessions, crime, and chaos is suddenly tapping out, then something far bigger and far more dangerous is tearing through the country beneath the surface.
At least 2 other 7-Elevens not on the list have also closed, including this one on McPhillips and this one on Pembina. 7-Eleven could not be reached for comment about why the stores shut their doors.
This is the new ways to get those things, and of course the prices are different, very different.
7-Eleven, the country's most dependable corner store chain, just pulled off the largest shutdown wave in its North American history, closing 444 locations in one sweep. The company framed it as a response to underperformance, slowing sales, cigarette decline, and inflation. But the way the closures unfolded tells a darker story.
If you're going to 7-Eleven locations like this one on Sahara and Jones, or 443 others across the country, come across this, a sign telling you it's been permanently closed and some locked doors.
Across Canada, stores didn't wind down. They simply went dark overnight. No public list of affected locations, no warning to communities, nothing. Customers showed up to find windows blacked out, doors chained, and shelves stripped bare like the store had been evacuated. What made the shock even worse was that many closures weren't even on the official list. Well-known locations on McPhillips, Pembina, Ellis Avenue, and others vanished without explanation, creating confusion and panic among residents who relied on them daily.
This fiscal year, 7-Eleven's Japanese-based ownership company, 7 & I Holdings, announced they'll close 444 stores. They cite issues like inflation keeping customers from spending, less people going to stores, and even plummeting cigarette sales.
This wasn't routine corporate trimming. This was a sudden, sweeping blackout of an iconic brand, rolled out quietly, aggressively, and in a way that made ordinary Canadians feel like the ground shifted under their feet.
I just want to record this because this is the only 7-Eleven I've seen my entire life in close.
Mom!
7-Eleven is always open. When a chain decides to survive thin margins, recessions, late nights, and unpredictable neighborhoods starts collapsing, it signals a structural failure far bigger than the stores themselves. These closures are being treated as a routine business decision, but the pattern exposes something deeper. The everyday economy is cracked at the foundation. A brand built on constant foot traffic, impulse buying, and 24/7 reliability is no longer in the conditions Canada now operates in.
Some of the store shelves are empty, or the shelves themselves have already been pulled down.
For decades, 7-Eleven was the one storefront you could count on to stay open through storms, downturns, and chaos. The fact that even this system couldn't hold tells us the pressure on street-level businesses is now beyond what even industry giants can absorb. The shutdown didn't happen because 7-Eleven felt like it. Foot traffic across their Canadian locations has been falling for months, and customer behavior has shifted towards strict, essentials-only spending. The late-night rush, one of the chain's most dependable revenue streams, has nearly vanished, leaving stores operating with fewer buyers and shrinking impulse sales.
Due to declining sales and fewer customers, partly because of rising prices and less demand for cigarettes. These closures come as the company faces inflation pressures and shifting consumer habits. Out of its 13,000 stores in the US and Canada.
At the same time, inflation has pushed every operating cost upward. Electricity, wages, insurance, rent, and deliveries all climb together, turning a 24/7 business model into a financial liability. These stores rely on predictable margins, and when
New to Canada? Your first step starts with the RBC Newcomer Advantage. Get meaningful advice, banking, credit, and ways to help you save.
We have what you need for wherever the road takes you. Now that's a great...
You're not going to believe what's happening to retirees in Canada right now. Because while everyone's still arguing about interest rates and housing prices, according to StatsCan, seniors are quietly getting wiped out. Food prices up, rent up, savings gone, and now hundreds of thousands are back at work. Not for purpose, for survival.
On January 8, 2026, at 0 hours, 0 minutes, Greenwich Mean Time, an astronomical event will occur that last happened on November 13th, 1162. Saturn will open the Black Vault, and if you're a Capricorn, you'll get everything you're owed for the last 30 years. Listen to me, Capricorn. You gave up on a dream for your family. Remember that moment? When you were 23 and wanted to leave, start your own thing, take a risk, but someone said, "We need your help," and you stayed. You worked 3 jobs while others were finding themselves through travel and spiritual practices. You stayed silent when you were used because you had to be strong. You carried other people's crises, debts, and emotional breakdowns, and what did you get in return? The phrase, "You'll handle it." Now, break down this date. 8 plus 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6. That makes 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. The number of a new beginning after the completion of a cycle. But not just a beginning, a reset of the counter. The universe has been keeping accounts. Every time you gave without receiving, it's recorded. Every time you suppressed your pain for someone else's comfort, it's documented. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every, "Okay, I'll do it myself," instead of a cry for help. Everything recorded. And on January 8th, 2026, the vault opens. But there's a problem. Most Capricorns won't even know about this day, because this information has been hidden for 800 years. Hidden by those who feared losing control over you. Those who built a system on your self-sacrifice. And now I'll explain why. Why Capricorn specifically? Because Saturn is your ruling planet. And it's not just a planet in the sky. It's a cosmic overseer that chose you for a special role. While Aries receives the energy of Mars, action without consequence, impulse without repayment, you receive the Saturn, the planet of mutations, the planet of structure, the planet of debt. Listen to me, Capricorn. In the 11th century, there was a manuscript called Beatrix, an Arabic treatise on astromagic that the church tried to destroy for 400 years. There's a term in it, Thesaurus Saturni Decretum, the Black Vault of Saturn. Medieval astrologers knew every 864 years, Saturn opens the vault, returns debts. Not your debts, their debts to you. The last time this happened was on November 13th, 1162. The day of the coronation of Frederick Barbarossa, the emperor who abolished serfdom in part of Europe. Coincidence? of the peasants. The next time, January 8th, 2026. But here's what they hid. Saturn doesn't just take and give randomly. It keeps score. Accurate, ruthless, mathematical. And do you know who the number one debtor is in this system? Those who made you believe that your worth equals your usefulness. Those who said, Capricorns are geniuses, and laughed as if it were a compliment. Your parents, who demanded success instead of giving love. Your partners, who took your sacrifices for granted. Your employers, who called you family, but never raised your salary. Society, which taught you that rest is selfishness. They're all on Saturn's list. Yes, I hear you. This is all made up. Astrology isn't a science. Fine, then explain the statistics. Cornell University, 2019, 67% of Capricorns experience chronic debtor syndrome. A constant sense of guilt, a constant I owe, a constant it's my responsibility. That's not character, it's programming. And on January 8th, 2026, the program malfunctions. But here's what no one says. This system was afraid of this day. Because at 0 hours, 0 minutes, Greenwich Mean Time, you will stop being a debtor. And they will lose control. And now I'll tell you what's been happening to you for the last 16 years, and why your suffering wasn't random. The year 2008, Pluto enters Capricorn, and a 16-year execution begins. Listen to me, Capricorn. What has been happening to you from 2008 to 2024 isn't just a difficult period. It was Pluto's transit through your sign, the planet of death and rebirth, the planet that destroys everything you relied on. 16 years. Do you know what that means? The destruction of every structure you built. 2008, the financial crisis. You lost stability, your job, or savings, or faith that if you do everything right, you'll be protected. Remember that moment? When you realized the system is lying. 2020, the Uranus-Pluto square, the destruction of relationships, divorce, or betrayal.
Jo, skulle man. Vad skulle du ha med?
The second phase, partners. Those who said, if you love me, prove it with actions. Those who took your help for granted. Those who...
No problem, I see. Interrupted gently. Living forever takes away what makes life special. Knowing that our time is limited, that's what makes every fight, every meal, every moment with our loved ones important. I don't want to lose that. Besides, he grinned, I want to see what's waiting for me after this life ends naturally. Might be a whole new adventure. Jiren nodded slowly. I agree. I want to live as I was meant to. Mortal, finite, but free to make each moment count. Daishinkan smiled warmly. Very well. Your immortality is revoked. You are once again mortal. A soft glow surrounded both warriors for a moment, then faded. Goku stretched, feeling oddly lighter. Wow, I can actually feel my body's limits again. Feels right. Xeno-sama floated over to Goku and patted his head. Xenos is best friend. Thank you for saving everyone. Ah, you're welcome, Xeno-sama. Anytime, Goku grinned. Beerus cleared his throat. Well, now that all this universe-saving nonsense is done, I'm going back to sleep. Whis, let's go. Of course, Lord Beerus. One by one, everyone began departing to their respective universes. As the crowd thinned, Vegeta suddenly appeared through a portal, looking directly at Goku. Kakarot. Vegeta, you're back! The Saiyan Prince walked up to him, arms crossed, expression unreadable. I heard what happened. I heard that you and Jiren trained for 1,000,000 years and saved the multiverse. Well, yeah, but... And I also heard, Vegeta continued, his voice dropping lower, that you achieved a level beyond anything I've ever reached. Goku's expression became serious, not gloating, just honest. Vegeta, shut up and let me finish. Vegeta's eyes were intense. You've surpassed me again, by a margin so vast that I can't even comprehend it. 1,000,000 years of training. That's something I'll never catch up to. Silence hung between them. Then Vegeta's lips curved into the smallest smile. Which just means I'll have to train 1,000,000,000 years to surpass you. Get ready, Kakarot. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Goku's face broke into a huge smile. I wouldn't have it any other way, Vegeta. The two Saiyans stood there, rivals, friends, warriors who had saved each other and their universe countless times. Come on, Vegeta said, turning toward the portal. Let's go home. I heard there's a feast being prepared, and if I know you, you'll eat everything before I get there. Race you, Goku shouted, instantly transmitting away. Damn it, Kakarot! Vegeta powered up and shot after him. Whis watched them go, chuckling softly. Some things truly never change. Weeks later, on Earth, life had returned to normal. The Z-Fighters gathered in Capsule Corporation for another one of Bulma's parties. Goku was on his 7th plate of food. Vegeta was arguing with Beerus about something trivial, Piccolo was meditating in a corner, and the younger generation was sparring in the backyard. Android 17, the one whose innocent wish had accidentally brought Zark back, approached Goku quietly. "Hey, Goku, can I talk to you for a minute?" Goku looked up, mouthful of food, and nodded, quickly swallowing. "Sure, what's up?" Android 17